Welcome to the 16th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Jacob Cowker of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest nitwit each week. The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By Your Rehab Choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday.
Hope you're having an awesome day. We are living the dream here on the Nitwits alongside our usuals, Neil Riddell from the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan from FightOnState.com. I'm Jacob Cowker, where it's my pleasure to welcome the man with the mic, Roger Corey. You might know him from the Thursday night coaches show. That's where he's really become legendary with that microphone there. So we appreciate you being on here in the Nitwits this week.
Thanks for having us, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I love watching the show and just love to see how Nitwits has grown over the years, and you've just slid right in. You're doing great.
Well, thank you very much.
Too great.
Penn State doing well. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit.
Outstanding.
How good we're doing here. Penn State doing well on the field too. 4-0 for the first time since 2008 after running over UMass yesterday. 228 yards on the ground, 5 rushing touchdowns, silencing the critics at least for now.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the fact that, I mean, the first series was sort of blown up. But they stuck with the run, and they did it with different guys. Lynch is really making a statement, and Belton I thought he ran more decisively and looked maybe a little bit quicker than he ever has. He averaged 10 yards a carry, 2 good touchdown runs, and you got to give some credit to the offensive line. It's a good time because had they not been able to fix it for this game, I think that would have really signaled a bigger problem.
Yeah, I think you have to give more than some credit to the offensive line. Granted, this wasn't a great opponent, but this offensive line needed a confidence boost. It needed to play well together. These running backs, to me, are all kind of proven commodities. These guys have done a lot of different things. They really need this offensive line to come together. And is this kind of an indicator that they're going to be great the rest of the year? I don't think so, but it was a good step in the right direction. James Franklin, to me, I don't think he views this as fool's gold, but I think he saw this as an opportunity for this line to kind of come together, as we were saying, and it did. All credit to them for getting it done.
Sometimes you just need that boost, right?
Absolutely. The confidence building yesterday was so good. I mean, see these guys come off the field smiling. They know they did their job, and they know they can do it, and they know they can be better. I heard an adage one time, you get better or you get worse. You don't stay the same. So I think they're on a good road to get better as the year progresses. I like how this O-line is beginning to build.
Yeah, Andrew Nelson was saying after the game that they needed to communicate better. That was an emphasis in practice. They said, we don't really care if the defense knows exactly what we're doing if we have to basically shout it out at the line as long as we're all on the same page. And it seemed like they were finally all on the same page yesterday.
Yeah, and the cutbacks were working for Belton. Each back brings a little bit different, and they still have, I mean, Zwinak is really among their more decorated runners. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 2,000 yards. He's in the statistical category of Lenny Moore and Franco Harris, and yet he's really on the verge of being a kind of a forgotten guy. He did get 9 carries yesterday, so he's the one guy that they haven't been able to really get rolling. But the fact that they continued to try yesterday, I think, will take some pressure off Hackenberg.
Yeah, the other thing I liked is that Hackenberg wasn't particularly sharp early in the game, But I don't think the staff was worried about that. I mean, this guy's obviously proven himself in the clutch that he's going to get it done when the game's on the line. And they didn't really try to force Hackenberg to get into a groove. I think they realized it was more important for that line and for that ground game to get going heading into the meat of the Big Ten schedule, because we know, listen, you get into the Big Ten, you know, week in and week out, much tougher defenses. Weather's going to come into play as the season goes along. So whatever they can do to get that ground game going, I think is imperative and was imperative.
Yeah, the other big deal, I think, was the defense. It continues. I mean, you're talking about now, I think the first-string defense has allowed 1 touchdown in 3 weeks and continues to get better. Like Roger said, you build a lot of depth. Everybody's happy yesterday. A lot of the younger players and walk-ons get to play, and your regulars have really been rested now.
Yeah, you want to talk about the rushing offense for Penn State. Penn State's defense allowed only 2 yards on the ground for the Minutemen. They've now given up less than 200 yards through 4 games. So you're talking, you know, a defense that's really only allowing 1 or 2 yards per carry. And that's just one of those things where when you can't get that going, you know, this front 7, what they've been able to do has just been very impressive these first 4 weeks.
Yeah, you take State College native Alex Kenny out of the mix, and they would have been in negative terms. But the defense, to me, has been better than expected. But I think if you're a Penn State fan, you want to knock on wood right now, because those guys have stayed healthy. The key guys have stayed healthy, and that's going to be imperative for them going forward. Yes, they were able to get some of their second teamers some work, but I think in the Big Ten they're going to need those first teamers to stay healthy and play well.
We were talking yesterday, we were hoping that this would be a game. Christian took some hard shots at Rutgers, and he took a couple yesterday, not many, but we were hoping this would be a game where he could just take his jersey off at the end of the game and hang it up and not have to worry about cleaning it. It got a little dirty yesterday, and I think that's of some concern to Coach Franklin.
Yeah, some other concerns. A slow start, kind of second week in a row that they haven't been able to get going. We'll take a look at what's been leading to that, as well as, you know, what Coach Franklin is like off the field coming up a little later in the show as well. Stick around.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need.
I'm Mike Hall from your Penn State Nittany Lions, and you're watching the NitWits.
Man, another big game from that fella yesterday. A forced fumble that led to the recovery from Austin Johnson, and you know, he's just like a tackling machine as well so far this year.
That was, I thought, if there was a turning point beyond the opening kickoff. I mean, because UMass was competing, at least made Penn State settle for some early field goals. They never recovered from that point.
Yeah, one of the cool things that Mike Hull said afterward is that he was beaten on a similar slip screen earlier in the game, where he kind of tried to run outside to contain it and the back cut inside, and he learned from it. And if you go back and look, he was very patient and then just drilled the guy, and obviously Zettel came barreling in too.
Yep.
And listen, this defense, I know it was only 1 turnover in that game, but this has turned into an opportunistic group so far with these turnovers that have been big the last couple weeks.
And for as well as they've played and for as well as the team played, I guess we don't want to get into grade inflation here. Maybe an A-. The minus perhaps coming on the fact that another slow start for this offense. No touchdowns in the first quarter. Hackenberg at like 40% through the first quarter. Is that an issue of concern yet?
You want us to get into some nitpicking?
Uh-oh.
Nitpicking on the nitwits,
well,
I guess.
The one thing is, I think the offensive line has had 10 penalties in the last couple weeks. Most of the penalties that they've had this year have been on the offensive line, and it's spread out. Almost everyone, either false starts or hold. There was a personal foul yesterday. So I think that's an area, because a couple times it happened right after real positive plays. Somebody jumps and whatnot. So I think if they can get that buttoned down, it will smooth out their offense even more, but that's one area.
And if we're going to nitpick, I mean, yeah, I do think you have to look at Christian Hackenberg, and he's missing what appear to be some open guys early in games. Now, having said that, you know, if you had your druthers, you want the guy who's going to, you can coach that stuff up. You can't coach leading a team on a, 80-yard drive in 1 minute to win a game. So I think the great thing about Christian Hackenberg, he's already career passing yardage, top 10 for Penn State. Yeah. And even though in some of these games he's not perfect, there is still room for him to improve. So yes, I'm nitpicking, but I think the ceiling for this guy is just unbelievable. And I think once he tightens some of that stuff up, that offense is going to be a lot more dangerous.
Well, we had a story, he said on the teleconference, Whipple said that he could be the first pick, not a first round pick, but the first pick in the draft in a year or so.
And to nitpick early on, we had noticed in the booth that perhaps early on in the first quarter he may have been throwing off his back foot. I don't know. It seemed like it was because he was high on a few tosses and just didn't hit things the way they should have been hit. But he worked it out quickly, I thought. He's a great kid. He's fun to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, every time after the game, and he takes it upon himself as well. Saying that. He's never making excuses. I saw him kind of shaking his hand a little bit, but he's not going to say, hey, I'm feeling off a little bit. He's going, this is something that I need to work on, that we can get under control. And like you say, the sky is almost the limit if you can just work on those 4 throws per game, it seems like, that he kind of wished he had back.
The poise and the leadership of this kid, especially last week when you looked on the national picture and you see Bozo the Clown at Florida State, and how they've not been able to manage him, and how they've let him down and he's let them down. It makes you further appreciate Christian Hackenberg.
Yeah, and Jake mentioned it after the game, and Neil, you know this. I mean, he's out there every single game, which you expect from your starting quarterback, but it's not me. I mean, yesterday he was talking, or Saturday he was talking about, how important it was for the offensive line to come together, admitted that he wasn't sharp early in the game. These are the things that, the way you carry yourself, I've said this over and over again. Christian Hackenberg has the great skills to be an NFL quarterback, but what's going to make him be a great NFL quarterback, in my view, are those intangibles, the leadership, the way he conducts himself with the media, all of those different things that I think he handles himself so well with.
Christian Hackenberg leading this one game at a time kind of charge that Penn State is constantly said as we're talking to them, but we don't have to do that. We play by our own rules here in the NitWits. We can look into the deep crystal ball. Can this team be unbeaten when Ohio State comes to town?
Well, they'll probably be favored in both of these games. Now, Michigan's having their troubles, obviously, but I don't think you can just automatically. And Northwestern, it's been a competitive series. I mean, Fitzgerald, that's a tough situation. We'll get to our picks of the week in a little bit, but. I don't think this team is so talented that they can just automatically start looking past people. The schedule's kind of quirky now because there's no, with the 2 byes, but I think they have a chance to go into Ohio State undefeated.
Listen, we saw with Indiana this week against Missouri, not that Indiana's coming into play until later in the year, that the Big Ten, anybody could really beat anybody. You just don't know what's going to happen. I will say this. Prior to the season, I would have been stunned if Penn State only had no losses going into Ohio State. I just didn't think there was a chance they'd be able to pull that off. And now looking at Penn State's played better than I expected, and the Big Ten isn't as good as I expected, especially Northwestern and Michigan. So yeah, I do think there is a chance for it to happen, but these guys are not going to be looking at it that way, and wisely so. I mean, you cannot
Franklin
do that.
Doesn't know who they're playing now.
Yeah.
He doesn't know they're open after Northwestern.
So after the Northwestern game, he's going to say, "Who do we have next?"
He gets a week off.
No one will be the answer in the room. Are we putting the cart before the horse here?
No. You got, well, yeah.
That's what we do.
Let's just say, why not? Why not? Why couldn't they go into Ohio State undefeated? I can't see a reason why they wouldn't, except Northwestern, but I think it's going to be a competitive game, as you said. But I think they're ready. They've got that boost of confidence from Saturday's game with UMass. They know what they can do. They know that the bar is going to be set a little higher every week as the competition in the Big Ten makes itself known. They know what they have to do. And I think Coach Franklin's going to say, go get it.
And I think there's sort of been this cloud that's begun to dissipate, if not totally removed. I thought there was a wonderful atmosphere up there yesterday for a UMass game. Yep. Close to 100,000. The band day, the women's celebration. I think all those things, there's just was, I think all that you could see that seems to be rubbing off even on the team.
Yeah, well, I think that's an atmosphere that was exciting to see, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I think some of that has to do with what Coach Franklin's doing off the field as well. We'll take a look at his role and how he's kind of creating this buzz around this program. Of course, on the field helps, but he has something to do with that as well. We'll take a look at that when we come back.
The NitWits are brought to you by Monarch Cleaners for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life.
I'm Gino Lewis, wide receiver for Penn State football. And you're watching the NitWits.
Gino Lewis, he's made some big plays. One of the reasons that Penn State is 4-0, of course, it's one of the reasons that there is so much buzz around this team. You see almost 100,000 people there to see UMass, for what it's worth. And, some of the other buzz, though, comes down to James Franklin, the fact that he's been selling this program since the day he showed up. And Roger, you get to see him on Thursday nights at this radio show, and just, the atmosphere that he personally creates among this fan base.
He's recruiting players. He's recruiting fans. He loves Penn State. He lives Penn State, and I think he expects you to do the same. And if you don't, he's going to talk to you until you're a convert. It's that simple. Love it and live it.
Roger, you've had such a unique perspective of Penn State athletics and particularly football for 30-plus years, on the team planes, at practice, the radio show with Joe, Bill O'Brien, James Franklin. How have you seen some of those things transcend over the years?
All three guys, it's tough to compare them, and it wouldn't be fair. Joe is Joe. Obi wanted to be the coach, and he did a great job. And some of those kids, some of the 49, so much is owed to Bill O'Brien. Yeah. And people have to realize that. And this, 2 years and gone, I don't buy it. Coaches tell these kids to live their dreams and to go for their dreams, and that's what Bill did. He wanted to be an NFL coach, and he did. James Franklin comes in, this is his dream job. Pinches himself in the morning. If he goes to sleep, does he sleep? I don't think. He pinches himself, does a handstand when he gets out of bed, and gets to work. He expects that same energy from everybody involved in the program. Whether it's me holding the microphone talking to fans or talking to Steve Jones, or when he's at a presser with you guys, he wants a positive experience for everyone concerned. His staff goes so far as to say, hey, thanks for coming out tonight. God bless you, Mike Hazel. I love you. I think you're a great guy. This is what I love to do. You don't have to convert me. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
I thought it was on the radio show Thursday night when one of the questioners asked about O'Brien and leaving, and Franklin right away said, hey, everybody owes a debt of gratitude to Bill O'Brien. Absolutely. The 2 years. And the job that he did, how he kept the program together, I thought that was a good answer.
And then he said, I'm glad he left because now I have the job, which I thought was great. The crowd loved it. He's reveling in the fact that he has an opportunity to make a difference. Whether it's one handshake at a time, one hug at a time, we'll talk about hugs in a bit, I'm sure, one picture at a time. He loves it. He loves being a part of this whole Penn State football experience that's bigger than just one person. We all know that. He wants everyone to do the same.
Now, you do a lot with recruiting. I noticed, the way he relates to recruits, the technology. There were recruits that appeared to be even on the field yesterday before the game, not just on the sideline.
Kind of a DJ. On Friday, on Friday before the UMass game, James Franklin went with Terry Smith to the Pittsburgh area to recruit in the morning, came back, ran practice, and then went back out to see games at night. That's what this game's all about. You know, getting back to what Roger said, it is obvious that this guy has been preparing for this his entire professional life. There was a time when he was, coaching at Green Bay or wherever, where he was thinking, when I'm the coach of a major college program, was it going to be Penn State? Who knows what it was? He knew he was going to be at a program like this, and he has seamlessly come in. And that's what he's doing is not an act. I mean, and Roger, I don't want to speak for you, but that's the way he is. I mean, from any time that we've seen him, I'm sure any time you've seen him, that's his personality. And the thing is, he has been preparing for this for 20 years, however long he's been coaching. Well, that was
the Packers. It wasn't Wisconsin, Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously,
pretty good program.
You think of everywhere he's been. You look at the staff he's put together. Yeah, this guy, he's more than an X's and O's football coach. He's a psychologist or whatever you want to call it. He's a PR guy. He's got his fingers in everything, and obviously this has been something he's been thinking about for a long, long time.
Yeah, and obviously it's been paying off on the field so far.
Sure.
4-0, a game against another Big Ten opponent now next week, the second Big Ten game of the year. Northwestern will weigh in. Our predictions, someone trying to build on their Nitwit of the Week
Is there a Northwestern grad on
so
this
far? We'll get the Wildcat predictions coming up next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
All right, prediction time. Northwestern coming to town. The Wildcats have not won in Happy Valley since 2004. It's been a decade. And my prediction, since I am the Nitwit of the Week,
rub it in.
I think third week in a row. One of those goes to Jamie Baker, though. Thanks, Jamie, as always. I'm going to go with Penn State. I don't think that this is the year that Northwestern breaks through. Their offense is just struggling to put points on the board right now. 34-14 Penn State is my prediction.
Wow.
Okay, I'll jump in. Northwestern, you talk about teams emotionally at polar opposite places. Northwestern, fought a lot of internal strife. Then they had one of their best players leave the program in preseason camp. I'm going to say Penn State 31, Northwestern 10.
You talk about the whole union thing going on there, and I wonder really how much that's impacted kind of just the vibes between the coaching staff and the players. I'll go Penn State 24, Northwestern 17.
This is easy. It's homecoming. 28-17 Penn State.
Okay, well, we'll add up all the numbers when we get off the air. It's too quick for us now.
And we'll figure out who the Nitwit of the Week, Nick, is
Roger,
next week.
good seeing
Thank
you.
you,
Thanks
Neil.
for being a Nitwit.
A lot of fun.
Jacob with the 3.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks for stopping by. There it is.
No,
there is the
show that.
leaderboard guest. So Roger maybe can add the second ball to the guest list, and we'll see you next week. All right, thanks for watching the Nitwits. We'll see you again next Sunday.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells, Reed, and Solani, orthodontics for children and adults. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue, Altoona. Just ask rental. Buy what you want, rent what you need. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South Altoona. Ask for us by name. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the Nitwits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.